Hi, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law, and I'm an estate planning and elder law planning attorney in Irvine, California. And today I'd like to talk to you about the difference between a revocable and irrevocable trust. Now, some people call it irrevocable, other people call it irrevocable. I guess it depends on whether you're a potato or potato, tomato type of person. I like to say irrevocable simply because I get tripped up saying irrevocable. So revocable, irrevocable is what we're going to be talking about today. And I'd like to draw you back to an image that works really well in my mind. I'm a picture guy, and so I think about these legal concepts in the form of pictures and images and analogies. A trust simply is a box. So picture in your mind a box like a cardboard box. All boxes have a lid on top of it. And if we have a revocable living trust, we have a lid that's off or is open, and we have an irrevocable trust, we have the lid shut. So it's a closed box. A revocable trust is an open box. An irrevocable trust is a closed box. Both of these trusts have certain roles that are associated with them, people that are associated with the roles that are associated with the trust. They are similar types of roles. You have the person that creates the trust, you have the person that manages the trust, and you have the person that benefits from what's inside the trust. The person that creates the trust we call the trust maker or grantor or settlor. The person that manages the trust we call a trustee, and the person that benefits from what's inside the trust we call a beneficiary. So that's the same for both a revocable open box trust or an irrevocable closed box trust. So you can have the same types of roles, but your involvement in those roles are different between the two different types of trusts. And here's how that works. On a revocable trust side with an open box, during your life, you get to have access to everything in the box because it's an open box. You can go reach in and grab what's inside conceptually. You can move things around. You can take things out, put new things in. And you get to change the box, the rules that are associated with the box, the rules that dictate what instructions you have for how the box should be managed if you're incapacitated or after you die. So what happens to the box? You can change those rules over time, purely flexible and changeable. On the other side of the coin, the irrevocable box, that lid's shut. So once you put something inside of it, you don't have as free access to it. You might not be able to control it or benefit from it. You might not be able to reach inside it, and you might not be able to change the rules associated with it. The most restrictive types of these irrevocable trusts, you can't change a thing. It becomes like a locked box. I often call this the pirate's treasure chest. Pirates were the early adopters of estate planning. They were early wealth preservationists. What did they do with their treasure? They buried it in these chests to the extent that they weren't able to find it later, or they couldn't enjoy it during a life. It was there hundreds of years later when it was later found, and certainly other people could enjoy it, but not the pirates whose bounty it was. And so there are a number of these types of irrevocable trusts that are like that. They're locked boxes, they're pirate's treasure chests, and you can't access, use, and enjoy what you're putting inside because you're trying to preserve it, trying to shelter it from other people, whether it's government and taxes or they're your liabilities and potential lawsuits. You're trying to keep it away from yourself. So those are the conceptual differences. An irrevocable trust is something that it has more permanency and certainty and for specific purposes and designs, all of which affect your ability now during your life to have complete access and control over that. And a revocable trust is one in which that has more flexibility, allows you to have access and things like that. So I get asked often, well, why would I ever want the pirate's treasure chest? I need all my money and assets and things, the access during life, and I certainly want my spouse, if I'm married, to have access, and my kids to have access. I don't want to restrict access. That sounds like a horrible idea. Why would we even want to do that? Well, there's a number of different considerations, and of course, everyone's situation is unique as far as your goals, which is why we always start at the beginning with clients by talking about their goals. What is their purpose for even talking to me? Why do they want to do estate planning? What are things that are going on in their life? What are their goals for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, and then after they pass away? If we start with a goal in mind, then we can develop a strategy around it. And as we talk and have those conversations, sometimes it comes up that people do have some tax concerns, and we want to create a trust that it minimizes taxes for future beneficiaries, whether they're estate taxes or whether there are potential capital gains taxes or income taxes later on, depending on the asset they want to create shelter, or there's a liability with that asset that they need to create firewalls around in order to make sure that it doesn't taint other assets that they have. Or maybe they're the liability and they want to put their assets or share of assets into a special irrevocable box so that if they get sued, then they're not getting cleaned out or the family's not getting cleaned out in a judgment. Think doctors and lawyers or other, sometimes we have architects, people that are in construction. They're concerned about large lawsuits when there's a lot of damage or in a situation, and they're concerned that a lawsuit against them personally is going to affect the other assets. Because it's important to be mindful that your revocable trust, the open box, does not have any sort of asset protection from lawsuits and creditors. And the general rule of thumb is if you can reach in that open box and access and use and enjoy and shift around assets, then so can your creditors as well. So a revocable living trust is great to have a design for the future in the events that you become incapacitated and or die, or when you die, because we're all going to die. So you've created a format for the seamless transfer of things in different moments in time, but it will not protect your assets from creditors. If that is a concern or a goal of yours, then we need to look at potentially doing some irrevocable trust planning. In addition, people that are trying to qualify for government-based benefits like Medi-Cal, or they're veterans or spouses of wartime veterans, and they are trying to qualify for VA improved pension, commonly known as aid in attendance. These are also strategies that are important here for qualification purposes. So again, it depends on the goal, but there's a trust for everybody that's out there, a lot of different types of trusts. And so we want to look at your goal, what it is you're trying to accomplish, whether it's minimization of taxes, whether it's qualifying for government benefits, whether it's asset protection, whether it's charitable giving. These are all things to consider when determining what types of trusts you can have. And be mindful that it's not just one type of trust. You can have an infinite number of trusts. It all just pairs back to your purpose. So often when people have irrevocable trust, they also have a revocable trust, because that is a good baseline for you to start. It's a good foundational level of trust planning, is to have a revocable trust. And then alongside of that, you can put additional types of strategies, irrevocable trust planning strategies, so you can have multiple trusts stacked alongside of each other in your overall estate plan. Again, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I'm an estate planning and elder law planning attorney in Irvine, California, and hopefully this was of value to you. There's some other great videos on the website. Please feel free to look around. If we can be further assistance, you can simply give us a call, 949-333-3702, or you can send us an email through the website. Happy to talk with you, and hope you have a great day. Take care.